Hey everybody, Elizabeth, the curly-haired country gal here today, and I'm excited to review the PREMIER1 fence that we've been using for almost a year now. So the system that we have is 600-foot sections of fence, and you won't be able to see it all the way, but it kind of starts here, I guess you could say, and goes up and around and all the way back, and then it comes up here and ends kind of right as it makes a loop. I'm going to share some things that are some of the pros, some of the cons, and just kind of an overall review. The purpose, of course, for getting the electric fence was to protect both the trees from ground ground animals like squirrels and rabbits, but especially from deer, and then to protect the hens from ground predators like foxes and squirrels and possums and things like that. So that was the reason that we got it, and I tried to do a lot of research into what would be the right size, the right height, the right power, I guess, of the battery. And so the one that I ended up getting, I always forget the name of it, but let me show you. I have the VersaNet Plus 12/60/3. So there are 600-foot sections that go around the whole orchard. Anyway, so let me get my list here so I don't forget anything. I think I first heard about this fence from Dave Arns at the Arms Family Homestead channel, and I really like a lot of his stuff. He seems like a really nice guy. But that's where I first heard about this fence and was impressed. This is the one that he used, I believe, to keep deer out of his garden near his house, I believe. Now, our house is right there. It's only maybe 30-40 feet away from the fence, and so it is fairly close to the house, but obviously way over there, that's a couple hundred feet away. So anyway, with all the systems that I have here, I've said this before, I'm going to keep saying it, I always like to try to find things that are durable, things that are low maintenance, things that are low cost. Try to balance those things. So this seems to be durable so far. Yeah, I guess time will tell, but so far it seems pretty durable, and it definitely has made my life pretty low maintenance as far as protecting the orchard for the most part, especially with the weed barrier that I have around the bottom, which I'm actually going to do a review on right after this, so you can stay tuned. But I have this weed barrier to make it even more low maintenance so that I don't have to move 600 feet of fence every week to mow underneath it or risk string trimming it and having to repair it. So that has been working really well overall, but I'll do that in a different video. So anyway, the pros of this fence, it's definitely a physical barrier. If nothing else, then predators get to it and know that there's something physical there to stop them. And there's the electrical barrier. I have my little PREMIER1 wireless tester here, and right now it's kind of a cloudy day, and just a few minutes ago this was hitting 4,000 volts or kV, and now it's at like 2,500 2.5 kV. So if you haven't looked at one of these, those are the three options. Oh, here comes my dog. 2.5, 4, 6, and 8, and so of course you want it as hot as possible, especially to keep the deer out. But right now it's running kind of on the bottom too, so still has a little bit of a kick for sure. Our cutie pie here touched it and definitely knows not to touch the fence anymore. Same with myself, and anyway, so it does have some kick, which is good, but definitely not that 8,000, but it's kind of cloudy. And even though I have this barrier, I haven't trimmed around the barrier recently, so that's probably soaking up some of the charge as well. It's pretty easy to install. That's definitely a pro as well. And it's really easy to turn on and off. All you have to do, let me make it so you can see a little bit better. All you have to do is come over here and just push the on-off button. So here's the battery. You've got the negative into the ground stake, and then all you do is push it to turn it off, and then you just face the solar panel south. And then there's different angles that they recommend in their packet for different seasons, and then you just hook the positive up to the thick part of the fence up here. So really easy. So what we do is we just turn it off, and then we just unclip this. We just step through so that we're not making the holes so big. But anyway, that's working pretty well. And there's our girl. Hi! So, easy to use, easy to install. The directions are clear and concise. And it is also pretty easy to repair. We have had a couple mishaps with the mower, and there's some really, they seem to have really great customer support and video support for customers. So the how-to for repairing the fence was really helpful, and it wasn't really too bad to repair it. And yeah, it does have a pretty good charge. So those are the positives. Let me get this started again, and then I'll share the negatives. All right, so that's just how you get started. Really simple. So now I'm gonna look at my list and make sure I'm not forgetting anything. So the cons, this is a pretty low maintenance setup for preventing predators, but it's still pretty low maintenance. But I have been a little disappointed in the charge that it holds. And again, that's not Premier's fault. That's my fault for not keeping the perimeter more trimmed. So I guess the con is just that it is low maintenance, but not 100% low maintenance. You can't just leave it forever. And then again, my purpose with this was to keep out rabbits, squirrels if possible, and then predators to the chickens, and then deer. And then I can show you here I guess kind of the selling point, it seems like, for this design. It's hard it's hard to see against the green grass, but there are holes that are, I think, 2 inches by 2 inches, so 2-inch squares at the bottom to prevent rabbits and squirrels. And then it opens up to 2 by 4, I believe. And then it opens up even wider to, I don't know, maybe 18 inches by 6 inches or something like that. It has all the dimensions online up to the top. And so that's supposed to keep little things out from the bottom, and it's supposed to deter deer as well. So I think one of the big cons of this is I got this fence specifically to keep those things out, and it hasn't been keeping those things out. So rabbits are constantly jumping in and out of the fence through the larger hole. So that's a little bit of a disappointment. And the chickens even have jumped. They like it in the orchard, so they're not trying to get out. But when we've had roosters out here that we didn't want inside the orchard, they just jump right through these larger holes, even though the shock is on, even though the battery is hooked up and it's on and live, they still just jump right through. So again, that may be a little bit due to me not cleaning up the fence as often as perhaps I should, but still that's a little disappointing, I guess. The other thing that we got this for was to keep deer out, and it has not been keeping deer out either. So I think that's probably the biggest con for me, and the biggest thing that kind of rubs me the wrong way is that this fence is specifically advertised and labeled as something that keeps deer out. But if any of you have had deer around your property and you're trying to keep them out, then you'll laugh at me trying to use a 5-foot tall fence to keep out deer, because you know that they can easily jump that. It sounds like 6 or 7 feet is kind of the minimum to keep deer out. So I felt a little bit hoodwinked, I guess, that this should keep deer out, but it's not. And maybe it goes back to the charge, but still, it just didn't quite sit right. That's what I got it for, and it's not doing that. And then the other con, of course, would be the cost. So this is not a low cost system. The whole setup that I have here, 600 feet of fence, the strongest battery that they have, I believe, and then some extra posts. It came to about $17.50, so definitely not cheap. So for the amount of money, I've tried to think, would I do something differently if I could? Maybe. I'm not sure if I would or not. Perhaps if I could do it again, I would just go ahead and get 600 feet of the chicken fence, just the fence specifically for chickens that only comes up like 3 feet, and then maybe I would go around the perimeter right alongside the fence and have taller posts every 10 or 12 feet with with string or wire with brightly colored tassels or something to have a visual barrier for the deer, and kind of a physical, or a little bit of a physical barrier, and an emotional barrier. So that maybe I would do that differently in the future, but overall I'm still pretty happy with the fence, and I'm overall still pretty happy that I got it. Just a little disappointed with it not keeping out certain critters, but maybe that was my fault. So anyway, overall I'd give it a pretty good review. And yeah, and then stay tuned, because next I'm going to go ahead and talk about this barrier that I have to keep the weeds and grass from growing up. So we'll talk about that soon. Bye. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you found this video helpful and informative. If you did, would you like the video? That'll help support future videos and myself and my family. Thanks, and we'll catch you next time.